Hey, Shalom. Shalom, Akim Shalom. First and foremost, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakal and of course, double honors go to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who through the Spirit have taught all of us this truth, alright, and continue to do so with great humility. Alright, this is Nama of the DC camp. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about, well, in general, science, and in particular, astronomy, alright, but you know, as it relates to both these Edomite scientists and the faith that they put in trying to, well, in their science. Their religion, of course, is science, alright, and they're so quick to try to dismiss and disprove the Bible, alright. Why? Because mostly these Edomites, the so-called white people, think that they're on some kind of level, alright, to begin with, to even make that argument, alright. But we all know that they're a disposable race. They were put here to be the wicked, alright, and once they've served their usefulness, they'll be done away with. And that's the book of Obadiah. Alright, that one book, which is one chapter long, is so powerful. Alright, and that's why you can walk down the street and have that little smile on your face, just the same as they used to do when they looked at you. Alright, like you know something that they don't. Alright, so here it is, the first article. I'm going to be dealing with two. The first one is the Big Bang Vanishes. So supposedly they've come around to the point where they say, well, maybe there wasn't a Big Bang. Like, duh. Alright, so this was posted a couple of days ago. And it reads, the Big Bang Vanishes. Scientists doubt most famous scientific theory since Einstein's relativity. Okay. Just kick it to the curb like that. Alright, so it says the Big Bang theory says nothing about what banged, why it banged, or what happened before it banged, observed MIT theoretical physicist and cosmologist Alan Guth, who pioneered the theory that the universe dramatically expanded in size in a fleeting fraction of a second after the bang. Which, I don't know if anybody's thought about it, but you gotta consider this also. Here they are so quick to pull something like this out of their ass, alright, and say, well, all these billions of years ago, this is what happened, and yet we're telling you the earth is not that old, alright, and it's a matter of thousands of years, alright, and that your carbon dating is off, and these things can be explained, alright, and it's all in the scriptures, alright. So yeah, they've been bent on disproving the scriptures. Why? Number one, a lack of faith. You know, as the scriptures say in Ephesians 2:8, you know, faith is a gift given unto the Most High. Alright? And when you go to 1 Corinthians 12 chapter, it rolls out. Well, let me get it real quick. This is for Israel only. So let's go to 1 Corinthians 12th chapter. Hopefully I can do this in the allotted time. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Let's go down and start at, let's see, I think it's 4. Yeah. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of ministrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same power which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit. Alright? To another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, alright, languages, to another the interpretation of tongues, languages. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. And of course, this all only pertains to Israel. All right. These are those gifts. All right. So of course, a heathen, the heathen of heathens, these Edomites, so-called white people, of course, they're the basis of men, as the scriptures call them. All right. And I'm gonna skip down through most of this because I just put this in the description box. You can read it at your leisure. But then you get into Carl Sagan. All right. And he makes a good point. He says, if the general picture of an expanding universe and a Big Bang is correct, he says, we must then confront still more difficult questions. What were conditions like at the time of the Big Bang? What happened before that? Was there any tiny universe devoid of all matter, and then the matter suddenly created from nothing? How does that happen? Good questions. All right, and the next article is going to ask them why they like this. Goes on to say the Big Bang Theory says that our universe began with a colossal explosion about 14 billion years ago and has been expanding and cooling ever since. Astronomers combine mathematical models with observations to develop workable theories and how the universe came to be, including Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity along with standard theories of fundamental particles, blah, 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 blah. And then it's going into gravity waves and all that stuff that, you really don't need to get into because here's the thing. I want to explain this real quick because I'm going to get a scripture here. Enter dark energy. Remember he talking about the universe expanding and it keeps expanding and it gets into inflation and all that, which I know a lot of you probably don't, but when it gets in anything dark that Esau makes reference to, it's talking about invisible. So let's get Colossians first chapter. Let's see, I believe it's 14 on down. Let me see here. Of course, in this we're talking about Yahweh Shah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus. All right, and it says, let me see here. I'll start at 13. It says, who hath delivered us from the power of darkness and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. All right, so you're going from Yahweh in the 12 and 13 is talking about Yahweh Shah, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature. And here's the point. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions, principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. And that's Yahweh Shah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Now you can go back to Genesis, the first chapter, and then you got your answer. All right, at the beginning, and that's Elohim, which means powers, plural. The Most High doesn't come in until Genesis, the second chapter. All right. And it goes on to say 17, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. All right. And it goes into him being the head of the church, which he is. All right. So let's square that away. It just says dark energy is incredibly strange. And the thing is, with this, I believe it's what we see, touch, and feel is only, I believe it's in the single digits, percentage-wise. So you got to ask the question, what is everything else? Okay. So now let's go to, since we've done with that, you can read the rest of this, of course. But here's the next article, and it goes into why don't scientists believe in the Most High? All right. And it's this site, compellingtruth.org. And it says, in 1997, the science journal Nature reported that 40% of scientists in the U.S. believed in a personal God, the same amount as had believed 80 years prior. However, when those results were filtered to include only members of the National Academy of Sciences, the number dropped to 10%. A Pew survey taken in 2009 records that 33% of scientists believe in God and another 18% in a higher power, compared to 94% of the general public. On a list of long ago scientists who believed in God are Galileo, Descartes, Pascal, and Newton. More modern names have been added, such as Lord Kelvin, Max Planck, and Francis Collins. So to say that scientists don't believe in God is a gross generalization. However, it is true that there are fewer believers in God among professionals in the scientific community than among the general public. Then you have to ask yourself, why? All right? And then it goes into some believe in, we've got atheism as a matter of faith, not evidence. All right? And it is just, but what did I just read about faith being what? That's a gift from the Most High, and it's only given to Israel. All right? In fact, I said it, but I didn't go to it. Let's go to Ephesians. This is Ephesians 2 and 8. And it says, "For by grace are ye saved through what? Faith." You can't keep the law perfectly. Alright? You're in the flesh. "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of the Most High." There you go. "Not of works, lest any man should boast." Alright? So, again, that's Israelites only. Alright? And it goes on to say some scientists reject faith because of personal experiences. Marie Curie, the only scientist to win 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different science categories, became an atheist or agnostic after the deaths of her mother and sister. Like, boo-hoo. Alright? Let's see. And it goes on to tell you about Alan Turing. Alright? Some scientists simply see no use for a higher power. Alright? Such as Paul Dirac. Alright? Again, faithless. But we're going to get down to the point for time's sake. And they did a good job on this one. It says, in short, let me see. In short, scientists reject faith in the Most High for the same reasons anyone else does. Their atheism is built on some foundational choices. Number 1, they choose to worship created things rather than the Creator. There you go. And that's all in when you go into Wisdom of Solomon. Alright, and you go now, what we're going into now is Romans, the 1st chapter. So here we go. Let's see. Romans 1, and I will start at since we're on Colossians there. It says verse 20 says, "For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." So you have this sun that we are under. Instead of worshiping that, what about he who made it? 21, "Because that when they knew the Most High, they glorified him not as the Most High, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened." These scientists, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Wow. "And changed the glory of the uncorruptible power into an image made like the corruptible man, and to birds and 4-footed beasts and creeping things." Alright? So there we go. Alright, continuing on, it says they choose to embrace opposing ideals of what is falsely called knowledge. Uh-oh. And it gives you this. Alright, 1 Timothy. You know, they trust in all their accolades. Well, I have this degree and from Harvard and MIT and Cambridge, and professing themselves wise, they became fools. Okay, this is 1 Timothy chapter 6, going down to the end, verse 20. It says, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called." Exactly. Next one, it says they choose to retain their sin instead of repenting. Let's go to John 3:19. All right. I want to live by my own rules. And you got a lot of Israelites like that. All right. It says, John chapter 3 verse 19, "And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. Alright? People don't want to be corrected. Alright? And says, for they choose to limit their definition of truth to what can be empirically discovered. Unfortunately, the truth of the Most High cannot be discovered via the scientific method. The world, through its wisdom, did not know him. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Alright, we covered that in camp. Alright. Alright, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 20. I'll just start at 20. It says, where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not the Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of the Most High, the world by wisdom knew not the Most High. It pleased the Most High by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. Again, coming back to what? Faith. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. Alright, this is all talking about Israelites. Because what they purposely did here, they put Greeks instead of Hellenists. Alright, and Hellenists were what? Israelites that sought after the ways of the oppressor, like they do today, which at that time were so-called Greeks, still Edomites. Alright, so let's go back to, here we go. They choose pride over humility, James 4 and 6. Let's get that. And of course, Edom is the most proud nation. Alright, this is James chapter 4. Let's see. 6. This is James book chapter 4 verse 6, and it says, but he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, the Most High resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Wow. And that's a big stumbling block, especially to Esau. Alright. It says one reason for their rejection of the Most High has to do with the enemy of their souls. The power of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. Alright. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. We must never forget that we are involved in a spiritual battle. The human intellect, no matter how lofty, must be redeemed by Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, and that's Israel. That's Israelites only. No one else. Alright, so for that, I'll just post this in the link, and I'm going to cut it right here. So with that, yeah, these are two good articles. Again, these scientists, you know, they weren't meant to get it anyway. So with that, I hope whoever views this is edified. After all, that's what we're here to do. Alright, trying to find the remaining hopeful elect. Alright, so with that, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rekakwadash. And of course, once again, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who humbly still teach this truth to all of us. So with that, shalom.